Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, Director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I want to talk to you a little bit around two philosophical concepts that are quite diametrically opposed, and how having a little bit of both in your life and using both of them in different ways can help fulfill your life ultimately. And those two things are Stoicism and Hedonism. Now, to give you a quick overview from someone who is not an expert on this topic whatsoever, don't come to this for any kind of actual philosophical advice. Go watch some actual, philosophers talk about it. But first off, you've got Stoicism. And the idea of Stoicism is essentially being someone that can take the force of a gale force 5 hurricane and just stand there like that and not fall back like that, right? Obviously mentally, not physically. Stoics tend to be very much about self-improvement. They want to improve themselves for the sake of the future. So a lot of it is around sacrificing present-day happiness for long-term fulfillment. And hedonism is very much the opposite of that. And hedonism is about sacrificing future long-term fulfillment for short-term happiness. So there's a few different types of hedonism. The first one is called folk hedonism, and it's very much a selfish kind of way of looking at the world, and it's very much just whatever feels good now, do it. And that's not kind of the hedonism that I'm talking about. I'm talking about a type of hedonism called, I don't know how you pronounce it, prudential hedonism, which is taking a bit more of a nuanced look at hedonism, where it's a bit more about, obviously you need to sacrifice some short-term happiness for a bit of long-term fulfillment. But at the same time, do make sure that you are staying in touch with your present self and making sure that your present self is content and satisfied and all that jazz. So if you go around life just living in the moment, then you're going to not progress very far, because what's going to happen if you don't plan anything out and you don't go out there and try to fulfill your long-term expectations. For instance, my long-term expectations are quite generic. They're, get married, have a couple kids, and raise them well and be able to support them, and all that kind of stuff. A very basic providing mentality, and being able to have them kids and see them run off into the distance and have fulfilling lives of their own would bring me fulfillment in the long term. But at that time, when I'm doing it, that would be short-term fulfillment, but it would be good because I have worked so hard to get to this point. At the moment, I make films and I make music and that kind of thing, and film is very much the equivalent of working really hard, passing your exams, getting qualifications, getting a good job and working really hard. And I also make music, and to me making music is like taking crack, because if you take crack, not that I've ever done crack, but if you take crack, then you're going to be very happy in the short term, but it's not necessarily going to fulfill your life going down the line. So when I make music, I'm chasing that short-term happiness, because I can just whack out a song in a day and I can listen to it and I can put the headphones on and go, oof, bloody hell, I made that. And with a film, it's very much a case of bringing all these people together for a singular vision, doing the vision, having to get up early, having to sort so many things out behind the scenes, paperwork and release forms and, risk assessments and all that kind of thing. And, editing the whole film, working with, dozens and dozens of people, and then trying to get it screened somewhere. And then when you're sat down in the screening room and you see your film on the big screen, that is the result of an awful lot of hard work that leads to long-term fulfillment. And I think that you need to have a good balance of hedonism and stoicism. You need to be able to engage with the present and make yourself happy in the short term in order to reinvigorate yourself so that you can continue to work towards your long-term goals. So if you are just someone that is just working, all you do is you get up at 5 a.m, you go to the gym, you go to work, you do this, you come back, you only ever eat healthy food, you never eat anything that's like a treat for yourself, and you never treat yourself to anything, then you might feel a little bit empty inside, like you're just grinding out this routine, and why am I doing this? For what purpose? And that sense of purpose gets lost over time as you keep doing it, right? But hedonism can be a semi-answer to that. So I'm obviously not saying become a full-on hedon. Don't just like eat junk food all day and just sit in bed watching like Family Guy and just smoking weed and doing all that, because that's not going to bring you any happiness in the long term, and you will get very sick of it and you will become very, very unhappy as a result. And then when you actually try and get back into the struggle of life, you will find it so much harder than it needs to be because you've been out of the game for so long. But if you have a nice delicate balance of both of those things, then you'll be able to go through life semi-happy, fairly happy as you can be, barring any, say, mental ailments that you might have, depression, anxiety and all that notwithstanding. But you can definitely balance your life to have a combination of long-term fulfillment and short-term happiness. So, for instance, if you work at your job all the time and you're saving up bits of money and you kind of hate this job and you feel like you'd love to take on a job that pays less so you have more free time, well, I think that you should do that if you can financially do that, because it will mean that you have more time to actually be with yourself and do the things that you want to do, because we only have one life at the end of the day and we need to actually go out there and make the most of every waking moment of it. Well, not necessarily every waking moment of it, but as much of it as we possibly can, because otherwise, you know, you're gonna look back after, you know, however long it is that you spend grinding out life and being the full-on stoic, and you're gonna look back and you're gonna sort of think, wow, I've got the long-term fulfillment now, but I never had anything along the way. You know, and you'll get to that point and you'll sort of feel quite empty inside. And if you engage with short-term happiness, then you will be able to take those little breathers as you continue your way through life, and you'll be able to sit there and kind of just go like, this is very difficult. You'll be able to kind of sit like this and just be able to go, oh, that feels good, that feels nice. And if you can have this sort of nice calming moment where you just don't have to worry about anything in the world and you can just look out and just enjoy the present, then you'll be able to get back, and sometimes the duller moments won't seem so dull because you'll have reinvigorated yourself with some true short-term beautiful experiences that will help you refuel for the future. And then when you get to the struggle, like right now when I have to get off this thing, that struggle feels a little bit more interesting because you haven't been struggling all the time. You know, you've had some moments of calm and you've had some moments of chaos. And I've been trying to do this video a few times. I've done this video about 4 times now, and it felt like every time I was getting onto something that I can't quite keep track of this sort of mentality. And it probably feels like that to you going through life, that you can't quite keep track of your various ideologies and how sometimes they might overlap and sometimes they might conflict, but you still feel them all very true to yourself. And it's a case that you've got different mentalities throughout different parts of your life. When you're working and grinding all the time, you might have that quote grind set. But if you have that all the time, and if you're just grinding all the time, say in a video game, you know, because the word grind comes from grinding video games, which I find quite funny because it's all about life and stuff and about, you know, experience in life, but it comes from a hedonistic thing of playing video games. If you just grind all your life, you're not going to have any fulfillment. You're going to end up quite empty because you're going to be pushing people away. If you're say, refusing to hang out with people so that you can just work all the time, and if you're just putting the grind before any kind of short-term happiness, then when you actually get to that long-term thing, then you're going to be left very unfulfilled, despite the fact that it feels like it should feel good. And it's because the journey is the most important thing, not the destination. And this is the big journey of life that we're going on together right now. You know, at some point you'll probably stop watching me, you'll start watching another YouTuber who might do similar things, or maybe in the future YouTube won't even be the thing and it'll be a new website and you'll be on that and you'll be watching different people. And mentalities will change, philosophies will change over time, but at the same, always what will be there, consistent, is going through life. You'll always be going through life until the day you die, and all you can do is try and make the most of it. All you can do is try and go out there and be the best self that you can possibly be, and a good balanced self, because if you don't balance it, then what are you essentially? Are you your work? Are you your comfort? I don't have the answer to that question. That's something that you've got to figure out for yourself. For me, at least, I try and balance, hedonism with stoicism. And to me, that is the work-life balance, as it's often shortened down to, as it's often referred to as. And I think it's incredibly important to have a good work-life balance, as does basically everybody on the planet. But at the same time, people always use that as a way to emphasize the work side of that. And, they'll occasionally go, oh, you need to have a work-life balance. After you've, kind of worn yourself out completely. Don't let your battery get to zero, because then, you're just unhappy all the time. You're either working or you're like this, recovering from work. You need that in-between time, and you need to figure out a way of achieving that in-between time. And if you're someone who is incredibly busy, take some time for yourself. Take some time to not worry about things so much. And even if you're like a chronic worrier or workaholic, then try at least. Just try and maybe take a day for yourself, or even just a couple hours, just to sit down, watch some dumb YouTube videos, or go out and get a good frozen pizza. Get the nice one. Get the one that's like £4 as opposed to the one that's like £1.50. Or make yourself a nice meal, or just do something like that to keep yourself going, a treat that you can look forward to. Because that long-term fulfillment is certainly something that you can look forward to, but it's not something that you can rely on as your aspiration for all times, because it's just one goal. For me, starting a family and having a couple of kids and all that is one goal, but it's so far away. I need to first earn enough money. I need to get a good place of my own. I need to get a mortgage. I need to do all this sort of stuff. I need to get a steady job, and not one where some months I'm earning much more than other months. I need to stabilize my life in certain ways. And, I need to get a driver's license. I need to do all these kind of things. But if I spend all my time looking to that long-term fulfillment, that long-term goal as the thing that I'm looking forward to, I'm going to lose track of myself at a certain point, because that's the only thing that I would have to look forward to. So instead, I set little goals along the way, like completing this film is going to be a great little thing for me. I'd love to go to the Cannes Film Festival next year, not even to have my own film screened or anything like that, because I don't really believe in that kind of thing. I feel like it's kind of the bourgeoisie of the filmmaking community, and I don't exist to please them and to do things for their approval. I do things for the sake of my own fulfillment. And maybe that's fine. That's all right. That's something that you can do. And those little fulfillments will lead me along the way to getting to the ultimate destination, which is my long-term goals. And the same thing applies to you. Find little things along the way that make you happy and engage with them. And use those things to, give your life a little bit of meaning. Because if you constantly chase that greater meaning out there, then you're not going to find anything. And then say if you don't end up getting to a point where you've achieved your long-term goals, this whole journey where you've tried so hard and you've put your whole life into it, it's going to feel even more devastating than it already would be if you didn't put your entire being into it. Don't put your entire self into it. Don't necessarily give 100%. You don't always need to give 100% to everything all the time. And certainly not, that bullshit that they do at work where it's like, ooh, you need to give 110%. It's like, you can't give 110% to anything. That's not how mathematics works, So the way that I'm going to close this off is I'm just going to say, you're doing all right. Everything's fine. And don't worry so much. And enjoy the rest of the day. And I really do mean it. I mean, enjoy the rest of the day. Do something that really makes you happy. Do something that really satisfies you. That's what I'm doing. And thank you so much for watching this. Please leave some comments in the comment section if you agreed or disagreed with various parts of this video. Let's get a bit of a dialogue going. I actually made this video in response to a comment that disagreed with my approach to Stoicism and Hedonism, and when I explained it a bit more, he kind of went, oh yeah, fair enough. So I thought maybe there's a bit more to discuss here, so that's what this video is, and I'm too big for this slide. I'm not going to be counting that as a short-term bit of happiness. Thank you so much for watching.